Hey there. In this video, I'm going to explain one of the most important things that the defense should be doing during a preliminary hearing, which is taking advantage of the opportunity to cross-examine witnesses. This is huge. Now, this is video 3 of a series of videos that I am posting regarding what to expect at a preliminary hearing, how to use it to your advantage if you have been accused of a crime. My name is Veronica. I am a criminal defense attorney here in Los Angeles. And I help people who have been arrested put their criminal cases behind them so that they can enjoy their lives and their freedom. And again, this video is going to be about why it's so important that the defense use the preliminary hearing as an opportunity to effectively cross-examine witnesses. Now, it is absolutely essential that your defense attorney asks all of the questions that they can possibly think of and that they would ever want to ask at trial, anything that they're wondering of each witness at the preliminary hearing. This way, if the witness, let's say that the case does end up going to trial, right? That what I will do as a defense attorney is I'm going to have a transcript of every single thing that witness said at the preliminary hearing, and I'm going to have it memorized. But I'm also going to have it written out, and I'll have a copy of it with me. And we're going to talk about the same topics, right? You know, if it's an issue of identity, okay, well, how far away were you when you saw my client? Or, you know, whatever it is, we're going to be asking the same questions. And if the answers change, and believe me, when people are lying, no matter how smart they are, their answers are going to change over time. Then I can nail them. Then I can say, isn't it true that you testified at a hearing 6 months ago? You were under an oath to tell the truth and nothing but the truth. The same oath you were under today. And during that hearing, I asked this same question, and this is the answer you gave. But your testimony is different today. I mean, that's not exactly how you do it, but that's basically what I'm pointing out, that their testimony changed. Now, sometimes it's something very minor, and we're not going to go through all of that, but sometimes it's something really major. Sometimes you can win a trial based on that. I actually did win a trial based on that, based on discrediting a witness who claimed that she broke up with my client, but actually he had broken up with her, which gave her a reason to basically make up this whole thing and to become enraged and him to use self-defense. It's a much longer story. But that one thing, if I had not asked her at the preliminary hearing and who broke up with who, and gotten her answer, and then gotten a different answer later, I never would have been able to discredit her to the extent that I did, and I don't know that I would have won that trial. So I'm very thankful that I thought to ask that, and that I didn't inherit the case from somebody else who didn't ask it. So it is incredibly important. Also, at trial, and most cases don't go to trial, right? I keep saying things about trial. That's because throughout a criminal case, it's all about, for the defense, what leverage do we have, right? Like, is the DA thinking, like, let's say that there's a confession. My client confessed multiple times. He read his rights. And he confessed, and he knew it was very, very detailed. Well, the DA is thinking, well, shit, I don't have to do a whole lot at trial here, right? I don't have to do very much. All I have to do is play his recorded confession where he confesses in detail to what he did, and that's it. But if we can start casting doubts, if we can show, hey, there are some problems with your story here, that is helpful. That's what we're trying to do, because we need to gain leverage in order to get the DA to, sometimes they'll dismiss, but also to give our client, a plea deal that the client can accept, that will not ruin their lives, that will allow them to enjoy their freedom and their future. So throughout the case, what everybody is doing is we're playing this game of, I don't know if it's exactly poker, but we are all thinking toward trial, toward, hey, if I had to prove this case, or if I had to defend this case, how would that go? And that is what guides all of our negotiations. That's what guides basically what's going to happen in the case short of trial. So anyway, at trial, what we generally do not want to do, definitely as a defense, but I would say the prosecution probably shouldn't either. We don't want to ask a question of a hostile witness, an enemy witness, a witness that is testifying to help the other side that we do not know the answer to. Because what you don't want to have is some devastating answer that makes perfect sense, that blows your case out of the water. We want to get all that bad stuff, we want to shake it all out at the preliminary hearing, see it right then, see what we're dealing with before our client has taken this ginormous risk of going to trial. And if you lose all your leverage. There's a trial tax where generally you're going to get a much worse sentence from the judge than you would have gotten if you had pled earlier. So before my client takes that big risk, I want to shake out all the bad things at the preliminary hearing. So it's very important to be thorough. Ask all of those questions that you would potentially want to ask at trial, that if you don't ask then, you probably should not be asking at trial. There are some exceptions to that, but in general, I think it's very irresponsible to ask questions at trial that you did not ask at a preliminary hearing. We also have, another advantage to doing a very thorough cross-examination is we have the opportunity to investigate proof that will show that the witness is lying. So in that example that I gave earlier about, who broke up with who, I didn't actually think that was going to be a big issue in the case, but I did ask it as part of doing a thorough preliminary hearing, right? But at the preliminary hearing, she testified that she broke up with him. And afterwards, my client was like, that's not freaking true. I have text messages to prove that that's not true. And he gave them to me, and I was able to confront her with those at trial. Now, if I had not asked about that at the preliminary hearing, I wouldn't have expected necessarily at trial that she would lie about that and that this would become such a big issue. So anything like that we might want to investigate later, it's really important that you ask those questions at the preliminary hearing ahead of time. Also, sometimes witnesses will change their story. Like witnesses have, if they come to the preliminary hearing, there are 3 different times that they are giving statements, at least. One is to the cops, and assuming that there's a trial. One is to the cops, one is at the preliminary, one is to the cops, one is at the preliminary hearing, and then one is at trial. So let's say that the case, maybe we don't want it to go to trial and we're trying to resolve it sooner. Well, we can still look at what are the inconsistencies between what they told the cops versus what they testified to at the preliminary hearing. If there are problems there, if there are differences, then we can actually use that to revisit negotiations with the district attorney. If they were unwilling to give us an offer that we wanted before, we can bring this back and say, hey, look, but your witness changed their story. And especially now, there's a lot more body-worn videos. So sometimes the witness prior to that was able to say, hey, well, I didn't say that, the cops got it wrong. But now if there's body-worn video, they cannot do that. So we want to lock them into any statements that are inconsistent to what they previously had said. And we want to use that to revisit settlement negotiations if we end up going to trial, whatever it is to help you with that case. I hope this video helped. If you do have a case in Los Angeles County and you are looking for an attorney, feel free to book a call with me below, or you can give me a call.